The story begins atop a serene mountain, home to an ancient Buddhist temple in Japan. This temple, surrounded by whispering pine trees and the distant chirping of birds, had stood as a sanctuary of peace and wisdom for centuries. The monks residing there followed a tradition passed down through generations, diligently practicing mindfulness, meditation, and the teachings of the Buddha. At the heart of this temple's spiritual community was a revered elder monk, Shinzo, a figure of both immense wisdom and gentle kindness. Monk Shinzo was widely respected for his deep understanding of the Dharma and his profound compassion for all beings. His teachings had helped many of his disciples find peace within themselves. On this particular afternoon, after a long and deep meditation session, the disciples gathered in the temple's main hall, expecting another illuminating lesson from their master. Today, however, was going to be different. It was a lesson about something fundamental, yet often overlooked: the proper way to sleep, and more specifically, the spiritual significance and benefits of sleeping on the right side, just as the Buddha did during his final moments. As the disciples settled into their places, a calm silence filled the hall, and Shinzo began to speak with a voice that was both soothing and wise. My dear students, have you ever considered the posture in which you sleep? It may seem trivial, but it is far from it. Sleep is not merely a time for the body to rest, but also an opportunity for the mind and spirit to harmonize with the body. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a special posture for sleep known as the lion's pose, or more commonly, the reclining Buddha posture. This is the posture that the Buddha himself adopted when he lay down for his final rest and entered parinirvana, the state of ultimate liberation. The disciples looked at one another, intrigued. They had heard of the Buddha's passing into nirvana, but they had not realized the importance of the physical posture he had assumed. The idea that even the way one sleeps could have such significance piqued their curiosity. Shinzo continued, his eyes gleaming with the depth of his understanding. In the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, a sacred text that recounts the Buddha's final days, it is said that as the Buddha approached the end of his life, he lay down on his right side, with his right hand supporting his head and his body stretched out fully. This pose is not merely symbolic, it holds deep meaning for both the body and the mind. Shinzo paused for a moment, letting the disciples absorb the importance of his words. First and foremost, he explained, lying on the right side has physical benefits that are crucial for maintaining overall health. Our heart is located on the left side of the body. When we lie on our left side, we exert unnecessary pressure on the heart, making it work harder to pump blood. Lying on the right side, however, allows the heart to function without additional strain. This is particularly important for people who experience heart problems, as it helps relieve the burden on this vital organ. Some of the disciples, especially those who had elderly family members or those who had studied the body's anatomy, nodded in understanding. They could see how something as simple as changing sleeping positions could have a profound impact on physical health. Shinzo went on, but there is more. The benefits of sleeping on the right side also extend to our digestive system. You see, the stomach and intestines lie predominantly on the left side of the body. When we lie on our right side, the natural pull of gravity aids in digestion, allowing food to move smoothly from the stomach to the intestines. This posture can help prevent acid reflux and indigestion, especially if we lie down shortly after eating. Several of the disciples murmured in agreement, recalling moments of discomfort after meals that might have been alleviated by simply adopting a better sleeping posture. Shinzo, ever mindful of the balance between body and spirit, continued. Physical health is important, but as Buddhists, we must also consider the spiritual aspects of our actions. The lion's pose is more than just a physical posture. It is a reflection of our inner state of being. When the Buddha lay down to enter parinirvana, he did so with full awareness and complete mindfulness. His body was at rest, but his mind was clear, unburdened by attachment or desire. Shinzo's voice softened as he delved deeper into the spiritual significance of the posture. The right side in Buddhist tradition represents strength, clarity, and virtue. It is no coincidence that the Buddha's final resting posture was on the right side. By lying on our right side, we align ourselves, with the Buddha's example, embodying peace, balance, and a profound understanding of impermanence. It is a way of honoring the Buddha's final teaching, an acceptance of the transient nature of life, and a readiness to let go of attachments. The disciples were deeply moved by this insight. The posture was no longer a mere act of physical comfort, it was a practice of mindfulness, a way to deepen their connection to the Buddha's teachings even in the unconscious state of sleep. One of the younger monks, Kaito, raised his hand. Master Shinzo, how does this posture help us in our spiritual journey? Can something as simple as the way we sleep truly influence our practice? Shinzo smiled kindly at Kaito, sensing the sincerity in the young monk's question. Yes, Kaito. Sleep is not separate from our spiritual practice. In fact, it is one of the most important times for the body and mind to restore themselves. When we lie down in the reclining Buddha posture, we create a physical environment that is conducive to mindfulness. The body is relaxed, the heart is at ease, and the mind, though resting, is still aware. This state of peaceful awareness carries over into our waking life, allowing us to approach each day with greater clarity and compassion. He added, the Buddha himself was a master of mindfulness. He taught us that mindfulness should permeate every aspect of life, including how we rest. By sleeping in the lion's pose, we honor his teachings and remain connected to the path of enlightenment, even during our most unconscious moments. In this posture, we are less likely to experience restlessness or troubled dreams, and we wake up feeling refreshed and spiritually aligned. The disciples were silent for a moment, absorbing the depth of Shinzo's words. They began to understand that sleep, like any other part of their practice, could be an act of mindfulness and awareness. Even in rest, they could embody the teachings of the Buddha, cultivating inner peace and balance. Shinzo continued, his voice filled with a quiet authority. It is said that the Buddha, even as he lay dying, was fully aware and at peace. He had transcended the suffering of the physical world, and his mind was free from attachment. By adopting the lion's pose in our own sleep, we can remind ourselves of this ultimate state of freedom. We can practice letting go of our attachments, our worries, and our fears so that we too may find peace in our own lives. The monks sat in reverent silence, deeply moved by the lesson. They understood now that sleep was not just a time for the body to recover, but a time for the spirit to rest in mindfulness. By adopting the lion's pose, they were not only honoring the Buddha's final moments, but also taking a step closer to their own spiritual awakening. That night, as the moon rose high over the temple, many of the disciples lay down to sleep in the reclining Buddha posture. With mindfulness and intention, they positioned themselves on their right sides, with their right hands gently supporting their heads, just as the Buddha had done. As they drifted into sleep, they felt a deep connection to the Buddha's teachings, knowing that even in the quiet moments of rest, they were practicing mindfulness and moving along the path to enlightenment. The historical and spiritual significance of the reclining Buddha posture. The reclining Buddha posture holds profound spiritual significance in Buddhist tradition. It is not just a symbol of the Buddha's final moments before entering parinirvana, but also a representation of the ultimate peace and liberation from the cycle of birth and death. The Mahaparinibbana Sutta, which documents the Buddha's final teachings, describes in great detail how the Buddha lay down on his right side, his body fully extended, with his right hand supporting his head and his left arm resting along his side. This posture, known as the lion's pose, is a reflection of the Buddha's strength, courage, and mindfulness. It is called the lion's pose because it embodies the qualities of a lion: dignity, fearlessness, and calm. For Buddhists, this posture is a reminder of the impermanence of life and the importance of letting go of attachment. It is a practice of non-attachment and a symbol of the peace that comes with understanding the true nature of reality. By sleeping in this posture, Buddhists not only reap the physical benefits of improved heart and digestive health, but also engage in a deep spiritual practice. It is a way of honoring the Buddha's final teaching and staying connected to the path of enlightenment, even in the most ordinary acts of life, such as sleep. The lion's pose is more than just a sleeping position. It is a reflection of the inner strength and serenity that comes from living a life guided by mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom.